All right, let's go where we're calling our create user email account here. Point here, we're going to pass in email, password, and username. And here, I'm just going to go ahead and put another if statement here real quick. I'll say email.getText to string. So password, get text to string like that. And text utils, that is empty again. And we pass the username to string. Very good. So if that's all good, that's when we're going to be able to call this. Else, we're going to go ahead and just say, toast that make like that. And I'm going to say empty fields not allowed. Okay, you can put whatever you want, but this would work. And let's not forget to show. All right, so inside here, of course, we're going to have to get our strings. So I'm going to just go ahead and say string email is equal to email.getText.toString. I like to trim things. String password.getText. Username is going to equal to username get text to string trim as well. Very good. So as you can see, now everything is looking much better. No more errors. Okay, let's go back to our create user account here. So once we have that, so we noticed that we said here we have our map, we created our user object, pass in user ID, username. Now it's time for us to invoke the Firestore database, which in this case is going to be what we need creating a collection inside of our cloud Firestore. So right up here below our Firebase Firestore there, I'm going to say private collection reference. Make sure it's collection reference, Firebase collection reference. I'm going to call this collection reference is equal to DB collection, and I'm going to name our collection path here. I'm going to just call this users. That's where we're going to be adding our user as such. Very good. So now we have our collection here. I'm going to call it at the bottom here where we're doing all the work. Let's see. Create user right about here, because we need to pass our user object here to our collection, so we have our user. All right, so I'm going to say collection reference dot add. What I'm going to add, I'm going to add our user object, and I'm going to of course say dot add on success listener. So new on success listener, and there it is. Let me go ahead and pass the add on failure listener, because that happens as well, as you very well know by now. Okay, so we have everything set up here. Now on success here, we have our document reference. It means the moment we pass our collection, we create our collection, we have the reference to our document. So we can do all sort of things with our reference. So the idea here is the moment we create our reference and we add our objects, so at this point here in success, we should have a new document, right? So what we're going to do next here is another nesting with our document reference, because we're going to get our document reference and we're going to add on complete listener, so we can actually get this user we added just now. All right, so I'm going to use our document reference that we're passing here. I'm going to say dot get, remember, say dot again, and I'm going to say add on complete listener, pass new on complete listener as such. Let's close that down there, finish our statement. All right, so on complete listener, at this point, we know that everything is good. It means we've created, first of all, we have created our authenticated user. Once we create our authenticated user, we went ahead and created our user object to put inside of our Firestore database. And now what we're going to do is to prep everything so we can take this user and allow this user to go and add one journal entry. First of all, because we are very responsible developers, we're going to put an if statement here to make sure that our task object here, which will contain our document snapshot, is essentially the document object. I'm going to go ahead and get result and check if it exists. Okay, if that's true, let me put another else here just in case. If that's true, then we're going to move forward. Notice we have another issue here, or a little warning. Let's go ahead and just replace with all of that code, so to make sure that this requires non-null. So Okay, there we go. So at this point here, everything is good. So we need to get rid of our progress bar. So I'm going to say progress, that's set visibility to invisible as such. Okay, we hide that. And next, I'm going to go ahead and get the name of our user. Okay, so I'm going to say string name is equal to task.getResult, new line. I'm going to go ahead and get string. And I know the field is going to be username that I'm trying to get as such, and voila. So now that I have this username, I can pass via intent. So I can go ahead and say intent is equal to new intent. And I'm going to get from create account.this. And I'm going to, in this case, going to be post journal activity.class, which we haven't created yet. And I'm going to say intent that put extra for username. I'm going to say it's going to be name, right? Intent that put extra. And I'm going to also pass user ID. In this case here, I'm going to just say current user ID like that. And then start activity and pass our intent. Intent, that is, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our post activity here. So let's go to our Java there. Still have a little error, that's fine. New activity, and I want an empty activity. Just going to be post journal activity and finish. Take a few seconds. Very good. So let's go back to our create account here. We should be able to see that we no longer have this issue here. All right, so that's it. In case of our result that we're getting from our document snapshot is null or doesn't exist, we're going to just go ahead here and do the same we did before, which was get rid of our progress bar because we don't want it to keep going. Okay, like this. Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and see if this works, because we've done a lot of coding and we don't know exactly whether this is going to work or not. So let's go ahead and test it out. Save. I'm going to run this. So at this point here, I'm going to also open our collections here to see things happening, hopefully. Okay, so we have get started. Let's go ahead and get started. We don't have a login yet. Let's create an account. So in this case here, I'm going to say Paulo. Email, I'm going to say paulo@me.com. Just put a password. Okay, moment of truth here. I'm going to go ahead and say create. It's thinking. And voila, we went to the second activity. If we refresh our users here, let's see, we should have a user collection. And voila, we have a user collection. And it's thinking because it's the first time. There we go. And we have the username, Paulo, and the user ID. If we created a user, that means then if we go to authentication, we should be able to see Paulo@me there. Let me make this bigger so we can actually see. Look at this. Paulo@me, and there it is. There's that information. All right, congratulations. We can go back to our database here, storage. You'll notice that we still have everything looking good. This is awesome. All right, so at this point here, we were able to open our post journal activity, which if you remember correctly, we have loaded it with information, right? We loaded it. Let's see, where is it? At the bottom here, we have, there we go. We put username and user ID. We go to our post journal here. Let's go ahead and click that. We can go ahead and retrieve all that information, which is what we're going to be doing in the next video. But congratulations for being able to create a user object. In this case, we created a user object. As you can see here, we have a collection and a document, and of course we have the fields. And on top of that, we also were able to see that we authenticated, created a new user. That is awesome. All right, I'll see you in the next video.